We are now live on air with Derek and Hannah.
Hello.
Rock and roll. And this. And the little pup. So today Derek's going to be, and Hannah are going to be talking about something that Derek kind of really introduced me to when he was living at my house back in Canada, and that is visualization and how it can really help you manifest the things that you actually want in your physical life. So just from idea to reality. That's what Derek's really all about. So that's why I know him. And stoked to hear you say on it, man. Always love what you got to say. Well, I'll let you guys go full screen there.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. So I don't know exactly when I first started learning about visualization and law of attraction. It must have been in my early 20s, and I'm 30 years old now. But
not 30 yet.
I'm 30 next week, exactly October 27th. I'll be 30. So, but it's something that I think when I first went vegan and I started learning a lot more about the world, I was much more into just learning about alternative stuff, right? And visualization and law of attraction was definitely a big part of that. It just kind of went hand in hand with veganism and environmentalism. And it's something that I think is really important. Whether or not you believe that the law of attraction works, I still think it's really important to be thinking positive thoughts and to be focusing on the positive things in your life. And it's something that is always a challenge and a struggle because we may kind of fall back on our maybe behaviors and attitudes that we had when we grew up. So it's not always, you're going to be 100% thinking about exactly what you want, and you never deviate from that. There's always this yin and yang. So there's always, some play back and forth. And where it really came to be, where I really kind of noticed it recently is when I met Hannah. So I was at a point where I was I knew exactly, the type of partner that I wanted in my life. And
we both did the same thing.
both did the same thing.
Yeah.
And when we both started doing it, we weren't necessarily attracted to each other at the time. But I think we just
in a physical,
a romantic sense.
Yeah, but we were attracted to each other in some way because we were talking.
Yeah.
But not romantically.
Yeah. So at that point, so I'd say at that time, we were just really, let me go back. So I wrote down very specifically about what I wanted for my life and especially what I wanted for a partner. So the type of person that I wanted to be, or that I wanted her to be. So what does she look like? What kind of life are we going to be living? Getting into the nitty-gritty details and really focusing on that and visualizing myself with that life. I can remember, visualizing basically living in a tiny house. It was, I originally thought it was going to be in Canada, but it ended up being in the United States.
Arizona. And
I can really remember visualizing myself living with my girlfriend in a tiny house. And it was something that I really focus on it. It's I really wanted. And that included business as well. So I wanted to be working online and making an income online and being independent of any type of location.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really focused on. And it was just crazy kind of how it all came together with Hannah, because when we first started talking and we just we weren't into each other romantically. It was just
you
kind
had
of
a
more
girlfriend
friendship.
at the time.
Yeah.
And she hated me. Because she I don't know. But I started doing the same thing at the same time. And it's funny because there's things about there's obviously certain things that are roadblocks. I never thought that I would get married or want to get married. But it's we had to get married, and you probably never would have gotten married either if you would have dated a Canadian girl. But then it was we had to go through this whole process of you know, all the visas and stuff that we had to do to be together, and like, so there were like compromises and stuff, like,
yeah,
along with this like dream partner. Like, it wasn't all perfect, but yeah, it definitely was just like the weirdest way that it came together.
It really was, yeah.
But I was like, I want a guy who's vegan. I even said, like, he's this tall, he has brown hair and brown eyes, and he likes cycling, and we both like work from home, and like, it was very specific. And I feel like that's kind of the way that you need to go, is be as like specific as you can, and then when, you know, something happens, you'll like know if it's the right person that's coming into your life, because there will be things that you have to like compromise on, even with like jobs and stuff like that. It's never like exactly the way that you visualize it, but like Derek thought he'd be living in Canada in a tiny house, and now he lives in southern Arizona in a tiny house, and like, but everything else is the same. Like, his girlfriend is vegan, and we work from home, and like all that kind of stuff. But I don't know.
It might not be exactly 100% how you expect it to go, but if it's like 80 or 90%, then like that's good enough.
Yeah.
And something that I've really gotten into, and something that I did a lot with Ted, was we got into this program. Where's my booklet? I think this might be it. I think it's in the other room. But there's this program on YouTube that you can watch for free. It's called You're Born Rich. And it's this awesome 11-hour seminar by Bob Proctor. And it's just like, there's just so much knowledge and wisdom. And this was like produced, I believe, in the early 90s. There's just like so much like just amazing information in there. We totally just got like enraptured in watching this and following along with it. So it's something that's been in my life for a number of years, and it's something that I really think is really important, is to constantly remind yourself of prosperous ideas. And this is kind of like where visualization comes into play, because you really want to be consistent, and you want to be visualizing on a consistent basis. So it's something that you want to participate in daily. So visualizing and having these like really prosperous, like awesome ideas in your mind. So that's where the Born Rich program comes in, that you can watch for free. Is like, if you just tune into it for 30 minutes a day, even 15 minutes a day, like, you're constantly going to be putting these prosperous ideas in your mind and reminding yourself of the steps of like bringing the things that you want into your life. And so that's really, really powerful, is to have some type of routine that you can kind of follow on a daily basis, where you're, you know, watching really good material, listening to material. I usually listen to the Bob Proctor seminar when I'm going to bed at night for at least half an hour. I usually listen to it when I wake up in the morning, just because I don't want to wake Hannah up. So I listen to it for like half an hour or an hour. And then I mentally go into a rehearsal in my mind of the type of life that I want to create. And so it's this constant thing where I'm just visualizing and like dreaming of where I want my life to go.
Yeah. I think for me, like, the biggest thing is actually, because like the book, the way that I got into like the law of attraction and stuff like that was through the movie The Secret, which I saw like in 2006, or like really a very long time ago. It was when I first started at my job, which was like 7-8 years ago. But my boss made us watch it, and like, I thought it was the most amazing movie ever, and everybody else like in the room was like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why did you guys watch that? But I believed like everything that it said, and I could see how all of my negative thoughts and all of my like self-hatred and everything that I was doing was just like pushing me further down like that rabbit hole. But I think like the biggest thing for me, even now, is just not only like focusing on the positive things in your life, because gratitude is like a huge way to just bring anything to you quicker. Because if you're not grateful for like the things that you have now, you're not going to get anything better, you know? Like, if you're constantly like bitching about your partner and stuff, it's just going to get worse. So you kind of just have to force yourself to focus on the positive things. But like, I even find myself like just being on like YouTube for so long, right? Like, your subscribers month to month go like up and down and up and down and up and down. And like some months I'll be like, why am I only getting like this many subscribers? And I'll be like stuck in this like negative mindset. But once I start thinking like that, I have a lot of subscribers and like all this stuff or whatever it is, and that it's like just pretending like what you want is already true is like a huge thing, because our imagination is like everything. We have an imagination for a reason, and it's our biggest tool to do anything that we want in our life. Like talking down to yourself and beating yourself up and like complaining about how fat your thighs are or whatever, like it doesn't do anything. It's just pushing you like further down this negative path and stuff. But even if you can just pretend that you're already like at your goal weight and that you're successful or you met your dream partner or whatever it is that you want, just like pretend that you're already there without being completely insane or something like that. I feel like that's like a very good way to bring it closer to you, but also be grateful for what you have right now.
If any of you guys have any questions, Jonas, you're lighting up the comment section. You don't have to bring up stuff that happened like 3 or 4 years ago. That's cool. You don't have to bring it up. Do we have meetups in Tucson? We have meetups in Tucson every once in a while. We haven't had one for 3 or 4 weeks, I think. But
yeah, we've just been busy lately with the house and stuff. But
something else that I think is a really important aspect, and maybe it's something like, say you've watched the movie The Secret, and you're like, well, I'm gonna like do this positive thinking, law of attraction stuff. And I think where a lot of people go wrong with it is that they just expect the universe to do like everything for you.
Yeah.
Instead of, so it's like you have your goal, you have your vision, and what should really drive you and your actions is the inspiration behind it. So it's like, if you have this like vision for creating an awesome business and you get some really inspired ideas for creating this business, it's like you want to follow those inspired ideas instead of following ideas that maybe don't sound so good to you. But the important thing is that you need to actually follow that inspiration and take action. It's like people get into this wishful thinking where maybe they are just thinking, wow, it would be great to like live in that house.
Yeah.
But nothing really ever comes about it. And if they do get inspired action, then maybe they just say, well, the law of attraction is supposed to take care of everything and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, you really have to have that vision of where you're going and focus on that and visualize on that. And then it's like an idea will pop in your head, be like, that would be really good to do.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go do that.
Like part of the word attraction is action. And I always tell people like when they're trying to lose weight or they want to become healthy and all this stuff, like it's great to sit around and like, you know, look at girls on Tumblr that have like your dream body and like visualize having that body or like moving around in that body, but that's not going to do anything. Like if you want to be a fit, healthy person, you have to act like a fit, healthy person. Like you can't sit around and get drunk every night and eat tubs of ice cream and smoke cigarettes and do whatever the hell you do, like all the shit that I used to do, right? Like you have to actually like get up in the morning, drink some water, stretch, do whatever, like have a small routine that you do every day in the morning that gets you like feeling healthy and feeling like you're on the right path, instead of like waking up in the morning and, you know, just feeling like crap about yourself or something. Like you really have to, I wanted to make a video called like how to become a different person, because you literally have to like totally become a different person. If you don't want to be a drug addict or a, you know, obese person or somebody who is out of shape or has terrible habits or eats animal products, like you have to like kill that part of yourself that you don't want to be. And you can't give in to the actions of that type of person anymore. And there's my friend Jessie, she does these videos. Her name on YouTube is I think it's Little Crunchy. But she does these videos talking about like your higher self. So like if you could totally just remake yourself perfectly, she tells you, like, write down exactly how that would be, like your, you know, the way that you are, your feelings about yourself, your emotions, like your habits, your friends, your weight, your hobbies, like everything. Like, I'm vegan, I'm this, I'm that. Like, write it all down, because you can be all of those things, but you have to act like that person that you want to be. Like, if your higher self, you know, loves to go for walks and like do active, healthy stuff, and you're sitting around all day, like, you're not becoming that person. So you kind of have to totally change who you are and your thoughts and your habits. And it's not just like thinking about what you want all day long, every day. It's acting on it and changing pretty much everything about your life. Like, if I looked at who I was 4 years ago, I'm a totally different person. Like, I'm not even close to the same person. Like, I have the same name, I have the same body and stuff, but it's like I'm 65 pounds thinner. Like, I'm not addicted to drugs and alcohol and cigarettes and all kinds of shit. Like, I actually take care of myself, and I'm like a totally different person. Somebody that I like never thought that I could be, because I always thought like being healthy and stuff like that was hard. But once you actually have, you know, once you actually start doing it, it becomes like you crave it. You like want to eat healthy food, and you want to like exercise, and you want to do all the things that you need to do to get to where you want to go, because that's like the path that you're on.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marissa, we will get to your question, but I'm going to answer Diane's question first. Have you ever regretted getting anything you visualized for, or realized that it wasn't what you wanted after all? Or do you think the universe doesn't tend to bring you things that aren't in your best interest?
I think it's more like you don't get things that you wish that you had. Like you visualize things, and maybe they kind of play out in the way that you wanted in the end, but it was like a totally different set of circumstances. Or, you know how like sometimes you'll have a crush on somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, like I want to marry them and have their babies and stuff, and then you find out they're like a serial killer or something. It's like, you didn't know that. You just thought like it would be so great to be with that person, or it would be so great to like have this job or have this thing or something. But it's like, I think the universe knows what's best for you, especially if you just kind of focus like on what you want in the end and not how you're going to get there. Then it seems to work out better than forcing something that naturally shouldn't really happen.
Something I want to add is like, there are times, even something I experienced yesterday is like, we were working out on our property, and we're digging up these stupid trees, these prickly desert trees that are just the worst things ever. And even though like this is like what we wanted, right? Like having this space, being on this big acreage with our tiny house, there's like those moments where I'm just like, man, is this what I really want? Because like in that moment, it was like the work was tough and it was hot out, and I was getting frustrated, and you know, I got a little like prick in my thumb, and it hurts even when I touch it right now. And it's like all these little things, and you can be like, man, like, did I really, really want this? Like, am I regretting, you know, wanting to get this huge piece of land that is going to take a lot of work, and like all this different stuff? Like, you can have those momentary thoughts, but I kind of find it's just more of a momentary thing where you might feel some regret, and you're just like, man, this sucks right now.
Yeah.
But the next day, I'm just like, yeah, this is totally what I want. It's just kind of like a momentary thing.
You're like out there and you see like a billion stars, and there's nothing around, and it's like amazing.
And I think even, you know, going on another tangent on your question there, Diane, is people are always visualizing what they don't want, and then they usually get those things that they don't want, and then they probably don't like it because they're getting what they don't want.
Yeah.
And you know, that's happening on a continual basis for a lot of people. I'm sure I visualize and think about negative things all the time, but not I try to think more about the things that I want than the things that I don't want, and try to, you know, sway the balance. But if you just listen to how people talk, and if they're always talking about negative things and negative things are happening to them, and like this happened, oh my God, my car got rear-ended, I got a flat tire, which we actually just got, but wasn't that big of a deal.
We just fixed it.
We just fixed it. It wasn't a big deal. You know, oh my God, I lost my job. My boyfriend dumped me. You know, people like, just get into these really negative spins. And then when you get into those negative spins, usually more negative stuff starts coming in your life.
And it's also like how you think about other people as well. Like judging other people, and like, you know, just speaking badly about other people and like gossiping and like all that kind of stuff is so negative that it just brings more negativity to you. Like, or having like, feeling like you're in competition with somebody else, is also a really negative thing. But I feel like every single person who is like a master at the law of attraction still has negative thoughts. And one of the biggest things that you can do is just realize that you had a negative thought, because most people don't realize that. They like bitch their whole day away. Literally, they wake up and they're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I got no sleep last night. And then they like wash their face. They're like, I'm dreading going to work. And like, I still have to walk my dog. And like, blah, blah, blah. I don't have anything for breakfast. I have to get gas. Like, I didn't get gas last night. And they like complain about traffic the whole way. And then their boss says something to them. And then they're just negative, like the whole day. And people will live their whole lives like that and never realize why they're stuck in a rut, or why they've been at the same job for 50 years and still have a huge mortgage and they're still in debt and like they're not getting anywhere, and like they just don't realize it. But just realizing that you had a negative thought and being like, okay, this, like, how is this thought helping me? It's not helping me, and it's not helping the person I'm projecting it at or whatever. Like if you ever like wish negative things on somebody, like that's also just terrible. But we all do it. Like everybody, like we think so many thoughts every single day that it doesn't matter that much. It's more about like tipping the balance of like having even like 51% positive thoughts and like 49% negative thoughts. If you could have like 75% positive thoughts and like 25% negative, your whole life would just change. But you're still going to have negative thoughts. But most people will never realize like, I'm such a negative person and I think negative stuff all the time, because people love to complain. Like they love bitching about stuff because it feels good and they just want to keep doing it and doing it. And like, because it makes you feel better, because you can point your finger and blame things. You're like, oh, well, it's traffic, or it's my boss, or it's like these stupid Twinkies were on sale again. I just bought them, and like stupid stuff like that. Like we're always just constantly blaming things when we complain. Like we're never taking responsibility for what's really causing it, which is our thoughts and our actions behind those thoughts. Like it's so easy to point a finger and complain about somebody else or a dog or anything. But like to actually be like, what am I thinking mostly about this specific thing? And how can I start to just think more positively about it and see if it changes? Because if there's something really negative in your life and you start to just force yourself to only think positive thoughts about it, I guarantee you that that thing will change. Because one of the most impressive things that actually, not even just like finding Derek, that was pretty impressive, like law of attraction wise, but I used to hate my boss, like with a passion. We hated each other so much. Like we'd come in contact with each other and our blood would like boil. We just hated each other so much. I don't even know, like it was just one point I was just like, I'm going to stop complaining about my boss, and like, because she was just like so fake to me, and she would always be like fake nice, and you know, like somebody like that. And I would think things like that about her. I'd be like, she's such a fake biatch, and da 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 da, like whatever, like all these negative things. And then I started to just like act nice towards her, and then I started to not think negative things towards her, and like our entire relationship changed. My entire job like changed because it was just a totally different story. Like she treated me so differently. She started treating me as like an equal instead of like I'm below her and she's better than me. She ended up actually getting like demoting herself down to the same exact position that I had, and like we're Facebook friends now, and like, but we hated each other more than anything like in the world. Like this woman was like oh my God, like I can't even tell you guys. But that was like a very impressive thing, because I was just like, I can't believe it happened. And it was literally just me. It wasn't her. Like it was just me thinking, I hate this woman. I hate going to work. I hate seeing her. But after I went to Thailand, I actually walked into her office and quit. And she like wouldn't let me quit. And like we hated each other at that point. But I just hated going to work so much that I literally walked into her office and quit my job. And I had no job lined up or anything. And like it was just stuff like that. Like things in your life will happen, but you have to prove it to yourself that it's actually true and that it'll happen. And you have to really like focus on it and just be like, I'm gonna only think positive thoughts about this specific thing for 2 weeks and just not complain about it. Even if I don't think positive things, I'm not gonna think negative things. Like I'm just not gonna complain about it. And like the whole situation will change. I don't know how it happens, but it just does. Like maybe you won't win the lottery, but like that whole thing in your life will get better, whatever it is.
Cool.
All right.
Something else that I just want to touch on as well is like trusting your intuition. I can think of an example that just happened just about a week ago. Is I've been going to a number of different companies here in Tucson, looking for solar stuff, and looking for rainwater catchment tanks, and I went to this one. I went out to this one guy, Loomis Tanks here in Tucson, and I just got this like weird vibe from him. Like I don't know specifically what it was, but like when I walked into his business, like everything was like really cluttered and messy, and I don't know. I started getting this like weird kind of vibe. And the more and more that I talked to him, the more and more I was just like, I'm like, this is not a guy that I want to be doing business with, and I just don't want to deal with. And it was like just that intuitive feeling where I was just like this just doesn't feel right? How many times can I say right?
Yeah.
I mean, this just does not feel good to me, right? And I just so I immediately, once I got home, I told Hannah about it. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this guy. So I immediately, went back onto Google and searched for other companies here in Tucson. And I found another company very quickly who is going to get me basically the same number of rainwater tanks and the same, like the correct size and, color and everything. And the price is actually going to be about $1,500 cheaper than what I got quoted from the guy who just kind of like gave me this weird feeling. And so it was just like that intuitive thing where I'm just like this guy just doesn't, like, it just doesn't feel good. And I think you have to learn to like trust that feeling where you're just like, okay, like this doesn't feel right. I'm not going to follow along with it. And then something else can come in and fill its place.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at some of the questions.
What are your thoughts on?
Well, let's answer Marissa's question first. So, how did you learn to edit videos? What programs are good to start with?
I started with iMovie, and I still like. If I could still use iMovie, I would, but I don't. Something happened, and I couldn't use it anymore. So I had to get Final. So I had to get Final Cut Pro, but he gave me so much shit for like a year because I still used iMovie and I had an AOL.com email address.
I first started editing videos using iMovie as well, and it served its purpose for the time, which I think if you're just learning, if you're just getting into video editing and production, just start with the free programs. So there's Windows Movie Maker for PC, and then iMovie for Mac, and just get started with those and start to learn like the basics of it. And for the most part, like there's nothing in Final Cut Pro that is like super special that isn't in iMovie. Obviously, there are some functions and features and stuff, but for the majority of your videos, you're just cutting the clips and sequencing the clips in a certain way. Like that's essentially what we're doing for the vast majority of our videos. you know, like,
and pulling in a music clip and cutting
Yeah.
that.
and
It's
I mean,
really easy once you get the hang of it.
yeah, it's really not that hard. And like one special thing in Final Cut Pro that we use is there's this one filter that you use when you have a green screen. It's called it's called keying, or yeah, the filter is like a keying or something. Or I forget what it's called. But it's just so that it takes out the green and it just creates a transparent background. Like that's one thing that's special in something like Final Cut Pro that I don't think is an iMovie. Maybe it is.
I think the reason that I started using Final Cut Pro is because iMovie, I couldn't save my movies to a hard drive and work off of a hard drive, and I didn't have any space on my computer. So I literally had to start with a new program because then I could work off of a hard drive because my computer is always like it has like 1 gigabyte of free space right now.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts because I always have to delete stuff.
So Young Bowie, I don't know how to pronounce that. What are your thoughts on polygamy? You think you and the last couple who spoke would ever kick it? Would it make it awkward? They are an open thing. I think you're more referring to polyamory than polygamy. Polygamy is like where you set up multiple wives and you have like children with all these wives. But polyamory is more of like an open relationship where you're kind of free to have multiple partners.
Yeah.
And personally, it's never interested me just because it would be a lot of time and effort to have like multiple partners. Like who's got time for having all these, people in their life when, I want to spend my time with Hannah.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be like, okay, Hannah, like I'm going out and I'm going to meet up with so-and-so for a bit. Like, I don't know. Like, that to me just,
yeah. I think it also depends like how you were raised. Because like my parents have been married for like 30 years and like they've never had troubles in their relationship or like cheating or anything like that. So like I think I grew up thinking, that you meet like a soulmate and you're with them forever and like whatever. Like I could never be okay with Derek just going off and having sex with other girls. Like I don't think that I'm a jealous person. Like I wouldn't be like, I'm so jealous girl, like I never let Derek do anything or whatever. But like that would be like too much for me. I don't know, just because of the way that probably I've been conditioned in society. But I also do believe that like people are kind of meant to be with one other person because it's just, I feel like ever since we became hunter-gatherers and shit and started like grouping ourselves, like we're actually the only species that, or one of the only species that, bless you.
Thank you.
That actually, what is it called? I don't know. Doug Lyle talks about it all the time. But
started pair bonding?
We started pair bonding because the women would have, like, so before we started pair bonding and grouping ourselves into pairs or groups or villages or whatever, it was like everybody for themselves. And sexual conquest of like men and women was very polyamorous or whatever. Like the girl was just there to fuck. Sorry. But like the guy would just come up and have sex with her and then he'd be gone and he would like go do his own thing and survive on his own. And like the women would have the children and they would take care of them and raise them and all of that kind of stuff. But once we started actually cooking our food is when we started pair bonding, because the women would be sitting there like cooking their food at the end of the day after gathering like potatoes and whatever. And there was no like way for them to protect themselves because they had children, and any man could just come up and be like, this is my food, like F you, I'm leaving, taking all of it, bye. So like the food for men hunting was kind of few and far between. So what they ended up doing was the man, like, I guess Doug Lyle says like the man comes up and he's just like, oh hey, like I'll protect you while you cook the food, but you have to share your food with me, but I'll protect like this group of your children and myself, and we'll like travel together. And that's how we started pair bonding, when we started cooking our food. And then groups of people started doing that and formed like villages, and then all that stuff happened. So a lot of animals are very polyamorous. And some people are like that too. Like if you want to like go screw a bunch of people, like I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't think it's a bad thing, but personally, like it's not kind of like along my morals. Like I wouldn't be okay with it, you know?
I do
Unless it was like maybe like a one-time like thing and we're all just like, let's have sex together or like whatever. I don't know. Like, but if it was like I don't know. Whatever. If it was like relationships and I don't know.
I do think that there is a basis of polyamory in our evolution.
Yeah.
So we would pair bond, but I do believe we would only pair bond for a certain period of time. So it might be 3 or 4 years that you pair bond until the child has grown up to a certain size, and then the male would go on and spread his seed elsewhere. So I do think that does happen, but society is a lot different now than it was millions of years ago, when hundreds of thousands of years ago, millions of years ago, whenever it was.
Yeah.
Society is a lot different, and monogamy might not be, the most natural thing in the world, but I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think I was telling Derek the other day, like, that I was just sitting around thinking about like how women are so like nurturing, like they like want to provide like nourishment and care for people, right? So like they're always like cooking and feeding people and cleaning and kind of like taking care of things. And guys are always like, I'm gonna go like build a house or like do something that's like a little bit more risky but has a bigger reward. And I feel like throughout our evolution, like that's kind of how it was. Like women would gather food and take care of the kids and like cook, and the men would be out like hunting, protecting the family, like building, shelter and doing things like that. So I think like men and women obviously go together very well, because we wouldn't even be alive if that wasn't true. Like we weren't attracted to each other. But I feel like in our genes, like that's kind of the way that we're just programmed. Like women are supposed to take care of things and like cook and clean and just keep everything like in order, and men like provide the like necessities. Like back in the hunter-gatherer days, like they would go out and hunt, and they'd come home with like this big deer or whatever, and it would be like a big accomplishment. But the women would kind of just, Doug Lyle says that even today, like the women, it's the same way usually, because the men usually have the job where they make the big money and like really can provide for the family, and the women kind of just have jobs where they make a little bit less money, but it kind of helps them get by, like whatever. It's just very interesting to like look into all that kind of stuff. But back to questions.
Diane asks, this is a good one. I think it's best to be positive. However, are there times when being positive can wind up repressing negative feelings? How do we avoid repressing when we're focusing on the positive? That's a good one. That's a really good question.
I think there's just like, there's obviously a place for negative feelings, because if we didn't have negative feelings, we wouldn't have positive feelings, and we wouldn't know what feels good and what feels bad. But like, and I definitely think like we feel badly for certain reasons, like, if like a death of a family member, like obviously that's something negative. We're probably not going to be able to think very positively in that time, but like we need to like process things as well. And negative feelings are different than like sad feelings or like disastrous things that happen. But yeah, like if there was no negative, there would be no positive, and everything would just be like blah.
And I think it's also really important to note that like negative feelings are totally fine, like Hannah said. And I think what's really important is to not hold on to negative feelings so long. So say you're driving down the road, somebody cuts you off. How long do you let that person affect you?
Yeah.
So like in the moment, you might be like, oh, right? Like, are you thinking, how long afterwards are you thinking about that? Are you thinking about it for 2 minutes and then you're just like, all right, I'm done with that person who cut me off? Or do you start telling your girlfriend about it, or your wife or your husband? Like, how long do you hold on to this negative feeling?
Yeah.
Because if you're just holding on to it, then that's not good either, because you're just holding on to this negative thing that happened, that is just a random situation that happened.
Yeah.
But you could have easily switched yourself. You could have been like, all right, that happened. Maybe that person's. You could just talk to yourself and, you know, shift your focus.
Or
you're like,
could,
all right, that person was in a rush or whatever. Maybe they didn't see me.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
Like, make excuses for them. Like,
yeah.
maybe their wife's pregnant and they have to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
Or like they're bleeding to death or something. Like,
you don't know. You don't know.
Just kind of assume like the benefit of the doubt. But like, I also think everybody can have an impact on your life, and you have a choice to give people the opportunity to negatively impact your life. Like I did with my boss. Like I would think about it 24/7, how much I hated this woman. And like all the time it bothered me, and I was dreading going to work every single day, and I hated it, and I hated seeing her face, and I hated everything, right? But I let her negatively affect my life so bad that like once it switched around, it was like miraculous. I do want to say one thing about Jonas Sunshine. We want to grow like date trees, so any help there would be great. Like,
yeah, let us know the best fruits. We know like figs, dates, sweet potatoes, or something else that grows good in the desert. Grapes, other good stuff that grows in southern Arizona. We have a bit of a colder climate than Phoenix, so just keep that in mind.
But I know
we can
some
grow
people
citrus as well.
Citrus, limes, lemons. I know some people grow like papayas and cherimoya and sapote and like all kinds of stuff down here, but we don't really know with our area yet. But
so Marissa asks, Marissa says penguins stay with one partner. That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There are some animals that I think there's another bird that does that as well. There's like one bird, you know, what TV program is it? But the one bird that like spends like half a year decorating their little nest to get like the woman. Do you guys know what bird I'm talking about? They like literally make these.
Is that the one? Is that the one in the book, or is it a different one from Pleasure Trap? The striker thing, striker bird.
I think so. But they literally just spend so much time trying to make the most beautiful nest because. And it's a male, and they're just trying to attract a female. Like, some animals are just so funny, like their mating rituals and like how they do stuff. It's just like adorable.
Gabrielle asks, what is that term, pair bond? So pair bonding is just like a simple term for describing a relationship. So it's like, you know, a romantic. I would consider like a romantic relationship to be a pair bond, because like a friendship, I don't know if I would consider that to be a pair.
Right.
Would it be?
Well, Doug Lyle, like he explains it as like back when we first started cooking our food, right? We were all like kind of for ourselves, and the women would take care of children and stuff. But then like the pair bonding, it wasn't even like really romantic. It was just mutually beneficial for both parties. So like the man would stand around and protect the family, protect the food, and nothing, like the woman knew nothing bad was going to happen to their food or to their family or whatever, because the man's standing there like with a spear, like I will fuck you up if you come in like by this fire, right? So they never had to like be afraid or lose their food or whatever. And like the male knew that he would always get some of the food, and like that he would never go hungry and all that kind of stuff. So it was just back then like a mutually beneficial thing, but I think it evolved into romantic stuff and all that kind of stuff.
More intimate pair bonding. Diane says, again, I prefer it positive as much as again. However, I also wonder about how it can affect our authenticity too at times. I'm guessing we need to evaluate each unique situation and do our best to find the best balance. For sure.
There's always,
I mean,
there's always a good and a bad to a situation. So you can look at it like the glass is half full or it's half empty. Like some people will find the most transformative, like best things in their life come out of a bad situation. They're this was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I remember like when my first boyfriend ever like cheated on me, I was like, this is actually the best thing that ever happened to me. Because what if I ended up with this asshole? Like, you know, like things like that. Like, of course it hurts and like bad things happen, but that like sometimes things that you think are bad have to happen for something better to grow out of that, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's like, what is it making room for? If there's like a negative thing in your life that's gone away, or even if it's like a positive thing, like say you lose your job tomorrow, like what's a positive from that? Like, maybe you've always had a dream of working for some other career path, and now you have the freedom to do that. But some people would be like, oh God, like how am I gonna get money? Like I gotta go on unemployment, and what if I end up on welfare, and like how am I gonna take care of my kids? But then other people, like people that are usually successful, would be like, I'm gonna take this opportunity and I'm gonna do what I want, because like I let myself be trapped in this career that I didn't really enjoy just because of the money. That's how I was. Like I was like, I make good money. Why would I ever leave my job? And it was scary when I quit my job and just like leaped into YouTube. But I never would have grown and actually done what I wanted to do unless I ever did that, like took that leap of faith, because like I made really good money, but I was also in a ton of debt and I didn't have any freedom. Like what are the trade-offs? So it's kind of like make a list of pros and cons when good things or bad things happen. And usually you can see a way out of it.
What I would say is it's just exactly what Hannah said as well. I was just thinking, as she was saying her example, I was thinking of an example like, say you get into a car crash and totally fine, nothing bad happened, like obviously other than some damage to the car. But like your physical body's, you know, you're fine, right? Like nothing catastrophic happened. It's like maybe because of that car accident happened, maybe if you would have, you know, been, you know, maybe like 10 miles down the road, maybe you would have had a car accident that would have killed you. So you just never know, right? And so it's like when things happen that are shitty, like they seem shitty, instead of thinking, yeah, this is really shitty.
Think about how much worse it could have been.
You never know what could have happened, right? Yeah. So like say like your plane is delayed or something like that, like which people just hate, right? Like, oh my God, my plane got delayed for an hour. This is the worst thing in the world, right?
They're trying to fix like something very crucial on the plane.
Right.
So it doesn't crash.
Yeah, but yeah, who knows? Maybe like just by your plane being delayed, like say you get to the next airport, and say like maybe you were gonna get hit by a cab or something like that. Like because your plane was delayed, that didn't happen. So you don't know. So when these things happen, you can just kind of play these little scenarios in your head and kind of laugh about it and not make it into being such a big deal. Yeah. And I think that's being more realistic about situations rather than saying like, yay, like my plane got delayed, right? Which seems very fake and very, you know, bubbly, fake positive, but you can just kind of like rationalize and logically just think to yourself, well, maybe something else would happen.
And just think like there's a reason that it's delayed, and I'm just grateful to be here. I don't know, like it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, my life is amazing and like everything's perfect, because that's bullshit. Like even like no one's life is perfect, like, you know.
Gabriella says, the work environment I work in is difficult. Constantly people are gossiping and I feed off others' energy. What do you suggest to do when there's a lot of bad energy?
That was like my work. The work environment is difficult. Constantly people. Okay. Honestly, you have to just stop. Wow, that's so bright. Turn it down.
I'm trying.
You have to stop feeding into the gossip. Like, one thing that I tell people to do, like, especially if they work in an office, is to just, like, go outside on your lunch break, because most people can eat lunch at their desk. So it's just, like, go outside on your lunch break and just go for a walk, and maybe, like, find a friend that, like, is positive that you want to go for a walk with or something. But if I sits in the lunchroom and bitches about whatever every day, and you go and you keep going back to that same place every single day, like, what do you expect?
Start to visualize the type of work environment that you want to be in.
Yeah.
Tie it back into what we were talking about at the beginning and start to be like, yeah, man, like I would love this like work environment. It'd be so good. Start visualizing that. Who knows? Maybe those people that you work with that are gossiping all the time, maybe they get fired, maybe they get transferred, maybe they just quit. Like, things can happen like that. And there's stories like that in The Secret as well, where I think it was like a gay guy. He was just getting like tormented at the workplace. And so then he just visualized like how he wanted his workplace to be. And it's like people got transferred, people left, people quit, people got fired. Yeah. Just to conspire to give him the environment that he wanted. So I think that is that's really, really important. So focus on the type of work environment that you want. Oh, Jonas, there's so many neglected trees on our property. Just because there's.
I think he's talking about fruit trees in the area, though. But like, there's so many date trees around here that I see, and I'm just like, people don't even take the fruit off of them. But the date trees totally just get destroyed because the birds start picking at it, and then all the insects get in there, and like, then they're all bad. Yeah. But I want to grow a date tree. Like, I want a bunch of date trees.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to do it.
We have the space. So.
I keep trying to sprout the seeds, but it does not work.
We'll figure it. I think we'll figure it out. Young Bowie, how do you spell Doug Lyle? Doug Lyle, which Diane says, and that's exactly correct. Is there room for collaborations with other vegans since you guys finished the tiny home and landscaping projects? Do you have plans for stretching out the area which the tiny home resides to other mature growing vegans who would like replicate what you have all brought to the table with your vision for yourself? In terms of like collaborating with people in videos and stuff, we really try to stay away from it just because a lot of the vegan YouTubers seem to be a little shady. It's like they just like flip flop, right? Like one day
I feel like it's less like that now.
It seems, yeah. I personally just don't want to do it too much personally, but that's like there's certain people who I know who are my friends, and I'm like they're not just gonna like flip on me and just start making like hate videos about us.
Right.
But I think that also comes back to the type of energy that we put out as well. We don't put out videos hating on people.
Yeah.
We might disagree with certain information people put out, but that's just information, and that's different from the actual person themselves.
I think it's different. Like, people have contacted me and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, you want to do a collab video?" And it's like, I've never even talked to that person in my life. I would do any collab video with like any one of my friends. Like when I went to see Mommy Tang, like we were like, we should do a video together because whatever. Like people know we're friends and they want to see us together. But like just to do a collab video, just to like share subscribers and be like, hey, we're doing this collab with like this person. Go check out their channel. Like a lot of people do that and they've never even met the person. Like I wouldn't do something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'm more interested in like promoting like good businesses, like something that you'll see on Life Inside a Box. So actually Diane asked, what are our channels? Yeah, Hannah's is High Carb Hannah. My old one that I never post on anymore is Unconventional Living. And the new one that I post on a lot is Life Inside a Box, which is documenting our tiny house build and we're doing on our property. Where was I going with that? But yeah, like promoting businesses and stuff that I think are like good businesses and promoting like what I want to see in the world. So it's like, I want to see more people, doing rainwater harvesting and, trying to transition to solar energy. So it's like, I want to promote businesses that are in that realm.
Or other channels. Like
other channels as well. Absolutely.
Like our friend Joe, and there's a lot of people around us that like do kind of like that same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there was a friend here that I had that was vegan and had a YouTube channel, like I would totally promote it. Like they're my friend. But I think what she was saying was like some people just do collabs just to grow their subscribers and do collabs. And like I'm not really about that. Like I'm all for promoting vegan channels and stuff, but if I don't even know somebody and they could turn on me on a dime, like happened to me in the past, like I'm not going to do that
Yeah.
because I don't really know them, and I'm not just going to do stuff just to get subscribers or whatever.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Joe. Like when we went over and visited him, like I did a full tour of his rainwater harvesting setup.
And Karen and Bob.
And Karen and Bob. They're not on YouTube though. And like, you know, I have no problems like supporting him and showcasing what he's doing, because like it's even going back to like the feeling aspect of it as well. It's like, to me, I don't feel like Joe from Homesteadonomics is just gonna start like making hate videos about me and stuff. Like he's a really cool, chill guy, family man with a wife and one daughter. So like, I don't know, it's not like a 20-year-old person. I don't know. Like that sounds like I'm like being an ageist or something, but you know, being mature is an important thing. Of like, if I want to collaborate with people, you know, it's not going to be like a 18-year-old kid or something like that for the most part. You never know, but
might be some.
I know it's stereotypical. It's stereotypical. I'm sorry, but
you're only
I'm
saying
just
that
trying to
because
prove
the
an
people that
example.
have screwed you over were younger.
They have?
I don't know. We've both been screwed over on YouTube and had a lot of drama and BS about us and stuff. So we're just kind of like a little iffy about it. But I mean, if somebody has good intentions and we like their videos and whatever, then so good.
Young Bowie, I totally understand what you mean. Setting up like a community, it would be nice.
That's what I thought he was asking.
Yeah, it was. I kind of went off. I kind of went off on a tangent there. But for me, like, I would love to be able to help people as much as possible get it set up, to get themselves set up. So, like, there's parcels of land that are for sale in the area
around us.
In the area that we live in, and it's like, and if someone's like, you know what, like I'm really serious about setting up shop and building a house there, I'd be like, all right, what can I do to help you? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like if someone's really like serious, like I mean, like they got the money down on the land and they're like, I'm gonna do this, then I'll be like, how can I help you, right? Like, you need some tools, like you need this, in order to help you get set up. Because even right now, our neighbor is like helping us. He has helped us like beyond words, right? Like it's been tremendous. So it's like when you get that type of help from other people, you immediately want to give it to others. So if people in the area, like hopefully once we get like once we get our guest house set up, then we can have people stay there. We can teach people more about stuff, and if they need more assistance with getting set up, then I think that'd be awesome.
And I mean, if there ever was like, we probably wouldn't start a tiny house community on our property because the zoning and everything, like it would be way too difficult to do it. We also have a floodplain in our property, so like
more than
quarter
like
of it, half of it.
Like half of it. It's just like you can't even really build on it. So.
Couldn't put a tiny house on it or something, but we would have room. Like we've talked about, like if there was a really cool like vegan, like if we were to have someone buy part of our land, there would be a hell of a lot of stipulations. Like they'd have to be vegan, they'd have to like do rainwater harvesting, like no kids, like just two of them. Like it'd be very specific, but we would think about selling somebody a piece of our property just because like it'd be nice to have somebody around as well. Like we have such a huge piece of property and stuff, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Like if we had friends that were like, we want to live in a tiny house and we're vegan and we have like a dog and we don't have kids and like whatever, we would totally do it. But we're not going to let somebody who's going to like grill steaks and shit like buy a piece of our property.
There's also,
sounds really shallow, but like,
say if somebody were to like say rent a piece of our land or whatever and just have their tinies on there, there's like a lot of initial investment in terms of like cash that we would have to put up in order to have that person there. They'd have to be set up with solar and rainwater catchment, and that's, you know, $15,000 to $20,000. Just have that one person be able to live on our land sustainably without having to drill a well or hook up to the grid power. Jonah says,
we met.
Do you have canals there? Do you mean like washes?
We have washes.
Or like, yeah, like on our property, there's lots of washes because there's a lot of rain that kind of flows on our land when it really rains, which is a good thing. and also bad thing. So it's good because there's a lot of water, and it's bad because there's a lot of water. So yeah, this summit's been really cool that we can really like chat with people much more intimately. Like when we do Facebook live chats, like they are free, but there's no guarantee that your question's going to get answered or anything like that, because there's just so many questions.
We don't have one of those big canal irrigation systems. Well, I was talking about like the in-ground like.
Oh, like more like.
That's like the water coming from the Colorado River or something.
Yeah. No, we don't have any canals like that. No.
Yeah, we don't have anything like that.
Like I do want to try to divert as much of the rainwater as possible that's going to be flowing down our washes and stuff, that in order to grow like the trees and stuff, to supplement basically any other watering that we have to do.
I didn't even know that you lived in Phoenix.
I didn't even know that you lived in Phoenix either.
I didn't know that. Isn't there like there's like a raw vegan like juice cleanse cafe or something up there that does like, he'll know what I'm talking about. What's that called? It's like some doctor or something.
Dewey looks adorable right now. Look at him.
Because he heard the dog outside. He's like, what is that? What is that? What is that?
So, does anybody have any like last little quick questions? We're at 61 minutes. Yeah, Fruit Lugs and 4-month-long.
What's up?
What's up, Ted?
It's been super enjoyable just listening to you guys like just talk about whatever's coming up with your land and tiny houses and vegan communities and like what your preferences are. I love knowing people's preferences, like talking about how like you'd be down to have maybe some neighbors, but no barbecuing and like no kids and all, or like 2 kids or whatever you said. Like interesting stuff.
Yeah. Like even when I talked to Ted about doing this vegan summit, I was even specific about people. If certain people were a part of the summit, I'm like, I didn't want to be a part of it. But,
that's cool, man. I like that. If you're really specific in life, you actually like pretty much always get what you're specific about. You know?
Yeah. Like, sometimes you kind of have to compromise, but usually the compromises are like better.
Yeah. Like, definitely.
Like, we definitely had to compromise on getting married and like moving across the country and all that kind of stuff. But
I love it. And I especially love the reminder at the beginning about the Bob Proctor seminar, bro. About your born rich.
Yeah, definitely check it out on YouTube, and you can download all the videos using like clipconverter.cc. You can download the videos and combine it, put in an audiobook, you know, and just listen to it because it's great. It's great
over
material.
And over and over again. Because we listen to it once, it's not going to do anything, right? Like it's going to be amazing, but it's not going to have an effect in your physical world.
I'll be listening to that thing as long as the MP3 file works on my phone. So.
Yeah, heck yeah, bro. So good. I love it. Anyways, thanks so much, and stoked to have you on here next week as well, man.
Cool, man.
Right. Sweet. Have a good one. Thanks, Hannah.
Peace.
Ciao. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Today is done. That's it. That's all. I will see you maybe tomorrow. Adios.